Troy University is home to a vastly diverse population of students, faculty, staff, and visitors. One thing they share in common, though, is the need to eat. And that need for food is more than satisfied, in part at Trojan Dining. Located along the roundabout at the intersection of University Avenue and Luther Drive, Trojan Dining brings a new experience in eating to Troy, providing not only nutrition, but a menu with something for every taste.
Because when you walk in there, you can smell the pizza. Do I want pizza? And then the fried chicken, the rotisserie chicken, and then you've got the Mongolian grill on top. In a rush, they can hit the salad bar, and if they know what they want really quick, then it's there for them. We can accommodate anybody that has an allergy. If there's something there that they can't eat, they can talk to a chef. They're always floating around. There's 4 chefs in that dining hall, 4 qualified chefs. And if you can catch one of those, they can certainly help you and take care of you. The simple serving section is gluten-free, so all of that food there is gluten-free, and some of those vegetables that we have on that side can be eaten by vegans as well as vegetarians. You can go to the chef and say, "Chef, can you throw me on a cheeseburger?" And he'll be happy to do that.
The real key to the quality and uniqueness of the Trojan Dining experience is people. In particular, the experience, professionalism, and creativity of the executive chefs who design and prepare the meals. In cooking Trojan style, these culinary experts share their menus and techniques with you. Today, learn to make an heirloom tomato soup using fresh, locally grown tomatoes with executive chef Robert Lynn.
Hi, I'm Robert Lynn. I'm executive chef here at Troy University. And what do we want to talk about today is using some farm-to-table sort of produce ideas. So we want to use things that are local. It's summertime here in Troy, and because of that, we like to cool down in different ways. Today I'm going to be making an heirloom tomato soup, Gazpacho actually, which is a chilled soup. I grow tomatoes at home. I grow heirloom tomatoes at home, which is why we're using heirloom tomatoes in this, but you could use any sort of tomatoes you want. You could use whatever you get at the grocery store. A lot of what's grown down here is big boy and better boy varieties. I see those a lot. My grandmother actually grows those. But what we have today is, this one's called a big zebra, and this one's called a gold medal. And you can see this one's not quite ripe, but it's called an indigo rose, and it's got little shades of purple on it. There's one called a Kumato, which is almost brown in color. So, they look a little different than what sort of tomatoes you're used to, but the flavor is very much the same. You can get a little more tanginess from the yellow tomatoes. They require a little bit more concentration to what you're doing because they're going to have different shapes and they're going to cook faster. The big ones are going to cook slower than the smaller ones. So a little bit more concentration, but not too much. And like I say, these grow from my garden, so this is what we're making today. So it's an heirloom tomato gazpacho. I grow heirloom tomatoes because I also do tomato salads and things like that. And I like the color variation, and I like the size and things. It makes me happy. So starting with this, we're going to, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to émonder these tomatoes, which means, so we're going to take the core out, and that's just a fancy French word for removing the skin. So we're going to take the core out, we're going to give it a little score on the top, a little score on the bottom, and we're going to drop that into some boiling water. We're going to do that with all these guys. And so this water, we're just going to leave it in there for a couple of minutes, long enough to sort of release that skin on the tomato. Then we're going to take it out, we're going to shock it in ice water, and that's going to stop the cooking process. So it's going to keep the flesh of the tomato good and firm while allowing us to remove that skin, because we're going to ultimately process this soup, and tomato skin's not something that you really want to have part of your soup. It, looks ugly on the plate and that sort of thing. So we want to get most of those off if we can, and like I said, it's not hard to do, just takes a little patience. So you can see, like, this one's already starting to lose its skin. It just peels right away. So we're going to take that out, drop it in the ice bath. Depending on how ripe the tomatoes are, some may take a little longer. This one's doing fine. We're going to take him out. But yeah, the more ripe the tomato, the faster this process will happen. Take those out. A little indigo fella, he's not quite ready. He was still a little green. And that guy's got a little bit more time. So while all of those are still working, we're going to move on. Oh, forgot one. The little gold medal here. So while those are working, we're going to move on. We're going to go ahead and cut up some bell pepper and some onion and some cucumber. We're going to put all of these things in our soup with a little salt, pepper, a little balsamic, olive oil, and basil. Perfect. And there we go. All right, leave those to cool. All right, moving on. We're just going to run this through real quickly with a knife. You know what? We'll save this part because we want to do a little garnish at the end to put on top. But, you know, like I'm saying, this is going to go through a food processor. Your cuts don't have to be perfect until you get to the part that you've reserved for the garnish, and then you want that to look a little neater. Super easy soup. Everything I'm going to cook in the next few shows will be super easy. Something that you can do at home, something that's not going to, you know, intimidate you away from the kitchen, because what this show is all about is getting people more involved in cooking. So I want to do things that you'll make for your family because they're not that complicated. They're going to taste great. You're going to be the hero for your family and friends. And, you know, it's a way to show off a bit. So, like I said, running through that. Super fast and easy. All right, this is it's called a Hothouse Cucumber. And I like to use it for the gazpacho because, first of all, I don't want to peel it, you know? I want to use the skin in the gazpacho. I want you to be able to see that skin. And this particular cucumber has a good skin to meat ratio, I guess. So it's got a lot of outside versus the amount of cucumber and stuff inside. Also, it's got not a whole lot of seeds to it. So we're going to just remove those seeds, but I don't want to throw them away, okay? Because I'm going to press this liquid out of the seeds. I'm going to do the same with the tomatoes. But I'm going to press that liquid out. Like I said, this is all about wastefulness. Nobody likes a waster. So we want to use all the product that we can. So I'm just going to run through this very fast. And then, so I cut that up a little finer. This will go straight into the food processor. And we'll cut up a little bit of this finer for our garnish. Let's reserve that on the side. Chop, chop. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to worry too much about making all these cuts perfect. I mean, you're going to chop it all up. It's not going to matter. What you're really concerned about is taste. And to make things taste good, you need great, fresh ingredients and lots of them because you want complexity and flavor. So we've got some red bell pepper in there. We've got some cucumber. We're going to put a little garlic. Quick trick to remove this skin from the garlic. Just hit it with the side of your knife. You know, pop. One good pop comes right, super easy, pops right out of there. So then I'll just take the little stem off And real quickly, chop, chop. Okay. Garlic, let's get a little onion. When cutting up an onion, I like to leave the root part attached. Not attached, but I want to leave it intact. That's what I'm trying to say. So, what I'm going to do is I just took the top off. I'm going to peel it back, but still leave that part kind of hanging on there. And then just cut through the base of that. So, the dirty part that was in the ground, the root part, is not on there anymore, as nobody wants any dirt in their food. But the root, the connecting part is still holding it together. So it's not going to fall all apart on me. It's going to make cutting it up easier. So I did that part first just to go ahead and get it out of the way. That's just our reserve part that we're going to use to garnish the top of our soup. And then the other half of the onion I'm also going to use, but I'm not going to be as careful with the cuts on it. So I don't have to be. So just a quick, broader stroke with a knife, chop, chop. That's enough of that. All right, so our tomatoes should be good and cool now. We are going to move those over here. And what we're going to do is make a little room. So you can see the skin just falls right off. We're going to peel that back. You can use the tip of a paring knife if it's easier for you. I don't think I'm going to have any problem with this. This is coming right off. So we're going to cut through the middle, and all these seeds and water in there, we don't want that in our gazpacho. But we do want that tomato juice. So I've got a little strainer here, and I'm collecting the liquid underneath. Then I'm going to but just like the skin of the tomato, you don't really want the seeds in there. It's just another thing that's going to distract from your beautiful presentation. Nobody wants that. It's an easy thing to do. Just take them out, give it a good squeeze. You know, another benefit to using, say, an heirloom tomato or different varieties of tomatoes is it's not always going to look the same, you know. You kind of never want to do the same thing twice unless you're, you know, unless that's just your specialty and that's what you're known for. But at least I don't like to do the same thing twice. I get bored. So I like to, you know, doing different types of tomatoes and different colors of tomatoes. It changes things up a bit. It's not always going to look exactly the same. All right, one more and then we'll move on. Yeah, I want this guy. Oh, he's got good flavor, I can tell. La, la, la. All right, seeds are out, moving on. Give those just a quick run through with a knife. Great. Move all this fun stuff to our processor. Seeds. One more. I got one more in there. I can't just leave him hanging out. He's looking at me like, what's wrong with me? I know, buddy. You get to join your friends. Okay, so to this we're going to add a little salt, kosher salt. I like it because you can feel it. We're going to add a little thyme, black pepper. Got some basil here. We're going to use a little bit of this to garnish with also. But we don't need a whole lot of it in the soup. I'm going to take these bigger leaves. Again, not worried about the particulars of the cut. Okay. And to that, we're just going to pulse this thing a little bit. Just to sort of start bringing it together. Then I want to add a little balsamic vinegar. I'm going to turn this on. Bring in a little oil. Now, you really don't want to over-process this. I mean, traditionally in Spain, they add a little bread to it also. They soak the bread overnight. They kind of pulse that in. They do it with mortar and pestle. I don't want the bread because I don't like the graininess in it. But having said that, you know, I do like the graininess in the vegetables itself. I don't want it to be a super smooth, you know, Campbell's can of tomato sauce. So we want to leave some of that texture in there. We're going to add back to that some of our liquid from, this will work better, some of our liquid from our vegetable product, from our tomatoes and our cucumber. Just extract all of those seeds. Very nice. A little bit more oil. I'm looking for a sort of glossiness to it. So that's why I'm putting a little tomato, or you know, a little balsamic in there, a little oil, and I'm just checking the consistency of it. But I wanted to see a little bit of glossiness. So what you're kind of doing with that oil and vinegar is you're making it into a little vinaigrette. You're dressing your salad as a way. But it's a cold soup, and so there you have it. So now we're going to take a little bit more basil, just do a quick chiffonade. What I mean by that is we're just going to roll the leaves up and do a little tiny hair-like cuts with it. And we'll put that right on the top. Move this so camera can see what I'm doing. So let's roll the leaves, and we're going to go very thin. So important to have a really sharp knife when you do this kind of work. It's not necessary. I do it because it looks nice, but to have a sharp knife, you're not going to crush the leaf itself. You're going to cut right through it. If you crush it, it's going to bruise, it's going to turn brown. By the time it actually makes it to the table, it's going to be a brown mess of, you know, garbage. So we want to avoid that. We want to keep nice, bright, green, chiffonade, basil hair. And I think we can plate up. Nice little nest of that on the top, and there you have it. Heirloom tomato gazpacho.
Here's a list of ingredients for Robert Smith's Heirloom Tomato Gazpacho. When Cooking Trojan Style returns, we'll have more delicious eats from the executive chefs of Trojan Dining.
The warrior spirit, it's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Now, Executive Chef Joseph Vance tells us how to make a popular Trojan Dining item, garlic shrimp stir fry, with his orange chili sauce.
The orange chili sauce was a very, very, very good time making it. I took my whole oranges and just threw it right down in the sauce. Can you see that pretty good? Can you see that over there? We got the oranges all in there. We have the chilies rolling around in there. Everything's just swimming, just having a good time right now. So when we get into our shrimp, so once again, we're gonna start with a little sesame oil. We're gonna go with the shrimps. Of course, this is everybody's favorite, right? We'll go with the shrimps. Onion. Peppers, onions. Carrots. Let's hit it with a little ginger. Now I have ground ginger here. The fresh ginger will look like this right here. You know, you can grow this relatively easy in the garden. That's what it looks like fresh. You always take it and take like a carrot shredder and shred nice pieces off. So we're gonna put a little of that. And then I'm gonna throw a little wasabi pea on there. All right, so we got our shrimps in, the vegetables going. Now I wanna hit it with a little water because we got some high heat going. We cooking. Got some high heat going there. I'll let that steam cook those vegetables down a little bit. The vegetable stays nice and crispy. All the flavor comes out, and you have a wonderful product. So we're just gonna cook that down just a little more. Maybe hit it with a little oil. And once again, now all the recipes that we're doing here, there are variations of recipes that you can coordinate and change out. If you want to change out chicken for the shrimp and pork for the shrimp or vice versa, it's your choice. It's a wonderful dish either way. All right, so this wonderful sauce, orange chili sauce. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, that's just having a good time right there. So we're ready to go with our rice. And if you notice, I don't leave it on there once I put the sauce on there. I don't want the sauce to dry out on us. And here we are. And get all cleaned up a little bit. And that's your garlic shrimp. It has the peppers, onions, carrots, and just to touch it up just a little more, what we want to do is Finish it with a little green onion and a little sesame seed. And there you have it. A wonderful dish. Shrimp for everybody.
That's it for this episode of Cooking Trojan Style.